Hey guys, I just wanted to do my review of The Flash, Season 3, Episodes 10 and 11, also known as Borrowing Problems from the Future, and also known, and the second episode also being known as Dead or Alive. The latter being better than the former because the mid-season premiere was meh. Basically the summary of the Borrowing Problems from the Future, the mid-season premiere, was Barry keeps having nightmares of reliving when he went to the future during the mid-season finale and saw Iris die at Savitar's hands. And to make matters worse, while he and Kid Flash are out trying to stop a fire, and he encounters a robber who gets later nicknamed Plunder. He remembers He remembers that it's also the same man who appeared in the news footage he saw when he traveled into the future, which is revealed to be the date of the season finale, May 23rd, 2017. And of course, he's hesitant to catch Plunder because he's afraid that's going to cement Iris's fate. And basically, he has like a high-tech gun which shoots energy projectiles that are even powerful enough to briefly harm and temporarily immobilize speedsters. But Barry hasn't told anybody about what he saw, so Kid Flash just thinks he's acting weird and he intervenes and captures Plunder and saves his life. And also, people start calling Barry out on his behavior because he actually gets pissed off at Wally for catching Plunder and not just doing an eyes-only order or whatever. So he finally after Caitlin talks with Julian, and he turns down the idea of not only helping her but also joining Team Flash. She goes on to the spiel about how the things that people face, no one can do it alone, and which is why she asked Julian to join Team Flash. But it was that speech that's enough for convinces Barry to take Iris to the Time Vault and explain to him what happened during Christmas. And then she gets pissed at him for putting her life ahead of the safety of the city by not catching Plunder. But you can also see that this is also great acting from Candice Patton, where she's also at the same time she's scared, knowing that she's going to die soon, and she doesn't have much time left. But Barry says on both of his parents' lives, he will protect her. Not exactly, I don't know why, not exactly a way to build any kind of confidence, considering his parents are both dead, but anyway, Iris convinces Barry to tell the rest of the team, and so, Cisco is able to vibe him and Barry back to the future to that same night, and so they read the news scroll under the news footage that, Barry saw originally, but also something that he notices that H.R. Wells is on a rooftop with Plunder's gun pointing at Savitar. Although he never took the shot for some reason, Barry notices something that he didn't notice or saw the first time he traveled to the future, and he thinks that maybe that's a sign the future's changing. So while they're in the future, HR writes down the events that from the news scroll, which includes Joe West being honored at City Hall, Music Meister getting a six-figure movie, a six book. I think it was like not a six-figure, but like a six book deal. The Star Labs Museum closing, which HR officially opened, but nobody showed up to the grand opening except for Julian, and or there were a couple people that showed up, but they ended up scaring them off unintentionally. And Cisco chews HR out on the whole thing and calls him useless, but it allows Cisco to pull some strings and feeling bad about hurting HR's feelings, and is able to get more people to show up. But it also included, but another thing that was included was Killer Frost still at large, was another part of the news. Was another part of the news feed, which goes back to another plot line in which the bracelets or the power dampener bracelets that Caitlin uses. She said she's reluctant to charge them because she feels like a human iPad, and it's the reason, and maybe what prompts Killer Frost to come back and go full supervillain. So Barry's convinced that if they change at least one of those events, that it'll lead to that would prevent Iris's death. Even though I just think that I'm still with my fan theory that they ended up just throwing the Philosopher's Stone into the future, and that's going to reappear at some point. Especially considering episode 15 of this season is supposed to be titled "The Wrath of Savitar," and also, I mean, of course, it might lead to better futures. It was nice for a little foreshadowing for upcoming episodes of appearances by Music Meister and Gorilla Grodd. And then it just leads, and then of course Barry apologizes to Wally, and he says that Wally has to be the one to capture Plunder again after he breaks out once again, which he does. But HR points out that they stop one, not mentioned with with the dominoes. If they stop one event, it may or may not change the future, change future events, or it just still might happen, or future events still might happen. But like I said, it was kind of meh. I mean, I like this. I mean, obviously Julian was suffering from survivor's guilt, which is why he was being addicted to Caitlin before, but at least nice enough to at least create a bracelet that has self-power. She doesn't have to charge it, and it also dampens her powers as well. Not a bracelet, like a snowflake, necklace with a snowflake on it that will dampen her powers, and she doesn't have to charge it. And he officially joins Team Flash, which he's basically I was watching a podcast on YouTube, and somebody described it the best, that he's basically the team's version of Sheldon Cooper, in which even though Earth 2 Worlds was abrasive, they have moments where it's like Julian is legitimately trying to, even though he's kind of brutally honest and sensitive about it, he is trying to be nicer, and it's also funny how much he's incapable of giving a compliment or trying to be encouraging, especially with because Dead or Alive, it turns out that interdimensional travel was outlawed on Earth 19 after they got invaded by another Earth 25 years earlier, as described by HR, and so but HR, like he said, risked his life to come there because of he was kind of washed up in a fraud and kind of people thought that he was the brains behind that Earth 19 Star Labs. He's basically just the businessman, the idea guy, and he feels disgraced, and he just wanted to get a second chance on Earth 1, as explained in earlier episodes. But he's being tracked down by Gypsy, who basically Earth 19's version of Vibe, and has all the same powers, except she's far more experienced and has honed her powers a lot more than Cisco has, even to the point where then when he shows up to try to take HR, she's able to immobilize Kid Flash and even have him freeze in place, or just going to a coffee shop and just being able to just naturally just vibe at will. That was Harrison Wells' last location, and the only reason why he was able to track HR was because he was stupid enough to have his audio recordings for his book transferred back to Earth 19, and that's how she knew he was there. And as Cisco later explained, because of the fake Eobard Wells and Harry Wells being mentor figures to Cisco, he just feels like he just wanted to return the favor to this version of Harrison Wells, as as a way of sort of returning the favor to those mentor figures by helping this HR version of HR by challenging Gypsy to a trial by combat. And the nice thing about her, what's interesting about her is that one, she has really good chemistry with Cisco, and also the fact that you can tell that she's basically just doing her job. She's reluctant. As condescending as she is towards this Earth and kind of abrasive, you can tell she has attracted to Cisco and is reluctant to kill him. But a law is a law, and so it's even like a funny moment where like Cisco's in like that obstacle course where the Flash trained in season 2, episode 6, and and you also have Julian saying that she should get their med bay ready, and Cisco's asking why, and he says, for her, we have to get the med bay ready for her, when you beat her, and then Caitlin has to pull her aside saying, we really need to work on your interpersonal skills, and he's like, I was really trying this time. And also, and of course, like, Julian being a realist, it gets to the point where he says that Barry has to reach a certain velocity in order to stop Iris from getting stabbed by Savitar. And he says, like, his top speed is just not going to be able to, he's not fast enough, he's not going to be able to reach that velocity. And he also has like another laugh out loud moment where Cisco does, show up in his full-on vibe suit, glasses and all, and they have this like nice kind of multiverse fight with Gypsy in which they're like going to like various Earths. Like first they're on top of Star Labs on Earth 2, and then they're in Catco office on Earth 38, where Supergirl takes place, and then they go to some like volcano. I don't know what Earth that is, or it's like some kind of like volcano planet that almost looks like Mustafar from Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One, and basically it's something else that Juliana pointed out earlier during security footage of Gypsy going through the breaches, was that she's always like off the ground whenever she jumps out of a breach, and Cisco uses that to his advantage to sort of knock her off. Sort of like knock her to the ground with his energy. I don't know. I guess his vibe, energy, projectile powers, and she says like by the rules of tribal combat, she says I give you my life, but Cisco's naturally being the hero spares her, and she agrees, and they're like about to kiss, but basically she goes back to Earth 19 mid-lean, and but you can tell like there's like an attraction there, but the agreement is that in order to not leave HR alone, he can't come back to Earth 19 ever again. She has to lie about the fact that she did complete her job and kill him. So HR is going to be a permanent resident on Earth 1. So, which I know he's not getting much fanfare, as much as, or the same level of fanfare as the last two versions of Harrison Wells. So, he's either going to die, or people are at least going to wish he was dead, because, I don't know, personally, I still kind of like the idea of having different versions of Harrison Wells each season, and I feel like this wasn't an episode where we didn't learn any more about HR's past than we already have, and I don't know, he just feels like, this comic relief, and he hasn't gotten like much of an arc to sort of just like, to like leave his mark in the same way that Eobard Wells and HR and Earth 2 Wells did in previous seasons. But at the same time, also we finally, for the first time in maybe like several episodes, we don't have Iris finally gets her own subplot. She convinces Wally to help him investigate the Electric Gang, who are running around using the same guns that Plunder did in the mid-season premiere, and she's trying to investigate, finding the buyer or the supplier for the gang, and she almost ends up getting shot by one of the gang members, because she actually walks up to him and walks up to the barrel of the gun, because she just assumes like, oh, I don't die until May, I might and she's not afraid of dying, but she's just afraid of dying and not leaving a mark or leaving some kind of legacy, in the same way that her mom did, Francine West did. And I like the line where like Barry tries to encourages her, saying that Francine did leave something behind. She left 2 kids behind, a smart, brave, something like a smart, brave son, and he just says the love of my life, which I thought was kind of sexist, and it just feels like undermines the whole trying to give Iris her agency. He should have said, an equally smart, brave woman. And that was just my little gripe with that. But I'm just happy for the first time in a while that Iris will get her own agents, got her own subplot, and maybe this will lead to more subplots. And maybe this whole Savitar thing will lead to more subplots. More often throughout the season, instead of just like doing this once every 9 episodes throughout the series, which seems to be the trend. And Barry also thinks that, and also another funny moment from Julian is that when Caitlin and Barry are monitoring the Gypsy Vibe fight and Vibe wins, they're all cheering, and he's like, he did it, and the first line he goes, she must have been having an off day, and I just laughed, and I just laughed out loud at it was like undercut the tent, like kind of this whole moment killer for them. And I don't know, he's just Julian's really growing on me because of that, and because Barry has been watching some of his Wally's results when he's in the speed lab running around. He finally decides, he realizes he keeps getting faster and faster or his speed keeps improving at a more exponential rate than Barry's ever did throughout his tenure as the Flash, and he realizes that maybe he tells Wally that he's not going to save Iris, that is maybe Iris's best chance of surviving the end of the season, which just feels like it's a nice nod to the fact that in comic books, Wally West, or at least classic Wally West, was actually faster than Barry and considered the fastest of the Flashes, if I'm not mistaken, or at least it's because during Wally's tenure as the Flash is where the comics started the moniker of the slogan of the fastest man alive. So yeah, it seems like Wally might be the key. I feel like it's going to be a combination of, based on behind the scenes photos of, I guess, what's supposed to be the Grodd versus Savitar fight. It might be the efforts of multiple speedsters, Barry, Wally, and Vibe, assuming he'll be able to hone his powers to the same level as Gypsy, and maybe immobilize Savitar. And I guess I would love to see that kind of team up of maybe Vibe, Gypsy, Kid Flash, Jesse Quick was seen, Violet Bean was seen on set filming that too, and I think this is probably part of Barry's plan to try to bring in all the big guns to take down Savitar and save Iris. At least that's my theory, but what do you guys think? What do you guys think of the episodes? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.